Welcome to Lessons for Life, the podcast where we explore stories that inspire, teach, and change the way we see the world. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Daniel Carter. Daniel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to share this story with your listeners.
I heard that you have an incredible story to tell, something that changed your perspective on life. Can you take us back to the beginning?
Of course, this happened several years ago during a time when I felt completely lost. I was working a stressful job, my personal life was falling apart, and I felt like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders.
That sounds tough. What happened that made you realize things had to change?
One evening, I was walking home after a particularly bad day at work. My boss had criticized me unfairly. My bills were piling up, and I felt exhausted. I was so deep in my own thoughts that I almost didn't notice an old man sitting on a park bench. He had two large bags beside him. One looked incredibly heavy, the other much lighter. I was curious, so I stopped to ask if he needed help.
That's interesting. Most people wouldn't stop. What did he say?
He smiled at me and said, "Young man, I don't need help, but maybe you do." At first I was confused. Then he patted the heavier bag and said, "Would you like to hear a story?" I had nowhere to be, and something about him felt wise, so I sat down.
I love this already. What was his story?
He told me that throughout his life, he had been carrying two bags. The heavy one, he said, contained all his worries, regrets, and pain, the things he couldn't let go of. The lighter one, that was where he kept his joys, memories, and moments of gratitude. Then he asked me a question that shook me. "Which bag do you think I open more often?"
Wow, that's a powerful question. What was your answer?
I assumed he opened the lighter bag more, but he shook his head and said, "Most people carry their burdens every single day, opening their bag of worries over and over. They examine their pain, relive their mistakes, and let their fears grow heavier. But they forget to open the other bag, the one filled with light, happiness, and things to be grateful for." That hit me hard.
I can imagine. Did he explain how he learned this lesson?
Yes. He said he had spent most of his life focused on everything that went wrong, lost opportunities, failures, disappointments. Until one day, he met an old friend who was terminally ill. That friend told him, "I wish I had spent more time looking at the good things in my life. Now, I realize that happiness was always there. I just didn't pay attention." That conversation changed him. He decided from that day forward he would open his bag of light every morning.
That's such a simple yet profound shift in mindset.
Exactly. And then he looked at me and said, "You're carrying two bags too. Everyone is. The question is, which one do you open more?" I didn't know what to say, because the truth was I had been carrying so much weight, stress, regrets, things I couldn't change, and I rarely looked at the good things in my life.
So what did you do after that conversation?
I made a choice. From that day forward, every morning, I would take a moment to open my lighter bag first. I would remind myself of what I was grateful for, instead of starting my day thinking about my problems. And let me tell you, it changed everything.
That's incredible. Did you ever see that old man again?
Number. It was as if he appeared just to teach me that lesson, but I carry his wisdom with me every day.
I love that, and I think our listeners can take something powerful from this story. We all carry two bags. The question is, which one are you opening more?
Exactly.
Daniel, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you. And to everyone listening, start opening your bag of light. It will change your life.
Wise words. And with that, we wrap up today's episode of Lessons for Life. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, happiness has always been there. You just have to open the right bag.